Hi all, as you may or may not know, I'm not a huge fan of Adobe. When they introduced the cloud, or as I call it, the cash cow, their entire ethos changed from serving their users to serving themselves. That said, I've started looking at Adobe After Effects tutorials and seeing how they can be recreated and made better in DaVinci Resolve or Blender. In this tutorial, we're going to make this animated color transition ribbon in Blender. It's fun, it's easy, so let's get into it. So here we are inside of Blender. The first thing I'm going to do is select the light and the cube there and just delete them out. Next thing I'm going to do is come down to the timeline just here. We've only got 250 frames. I'm going to change that to 450 just to give us more room. Now what I'm going to do is bring in a cylinder. So I'm going to hit Shift A on the keyboard, come up to Mesh, go down to Cylinder just there, and we've added that. Make sure the cylinder is selected. Hit the Tab key to go into edit mode, and then what I'm going to do is hit 1 on the keyboard to make sure I'm in the front view. I need to make sure the X-ray mode is on. That's this one up here. I'm just going to select that like that, and then what that enables me to do is select these points just here, and then if I hit GX, I can just drag those right across and not worry about them going up and down. So take it to as far as you want it to be, somewhere like that. And we've got ourselves a nice looking ribbon already. Right, problem that we have now is if I go into the polygon view just here, we've got a polygon right there at the top and one right there at the bottom. So I'm going to hold the Shift key, select the top and bottom like that. Then I'm going to hit the delete key and make sure you delete the faces like so. And now we've got a nice looking ribbon with no thickness. But before we get to the thickness, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this one just here and just give it some subdivisions. So right click on it, subdivide, and then do that again like that. So we're looking good, but like I say, we need a bit of thickness. So let's go back into the object mode right there. And then come across to the right hand side. If you go down, you'll see this one here under modifiers. We're going to go to there and we're going to add one. And we're looking for something called the solidify. Now I've used it earlier, so it's come up just here. So we're going to add that one just there. What this enables me to do is change the thickness of it. So I can have it really thick or really thin. So I'm going to take it to about there like that. And we have created a ribbon. The only thing we need to do now is I'm going to select it, right click and hit Shade Auto Smooth. And that'll just make it look nice. Right, I used Affinity Photo to create the banner. But the design will work in most image apps. So let's have a look how I put it together. What I did was I created a document that was 1450 by 250 high. I then filled it in with blue. Now I wasn't using this in the final one, but it was just so that I could see the text and lines that I was putting in there. As you can see, I put a line at the top, a line at the bottom, and then made sure they were super thin. And then I created a line on the left and then just duplicated that, putting one in the middle and one in the right. Now for the text, I used the Billboard font, just typed in subscribe, but you can use anything you want. In fact, you don't have to use text, you can use images or logos as well. I added a bit of a drop shadow, inner shadow to the text, duplicated it, put one on the left, one on the right, and made sure, and this is very important, make sure you've got a lot of space left and right so that when we do the looping animation, it looks good. And then turn the blue off and saved it out as an alpha. And we're now going to bring that into Blender. So here we are back in Blender. What I'm going to do is add that graphic we've just created. Make sure the model's selected. Come up to the shading just here. Now what we need to do is hit New, like that. I'm going to zoom in, middle mouse. Going to come into a blank area and hit Shift A, and I'm searching for something called a image texture, which is that one there. I'm going to take the output of the color and put it into the base like that. Then I'm going to hit Open and browse to where we put that logo. So where did I put it? I put it about here. There we are, like that. Now if I go back to the layout view, make sure I've got texture selected just here. You'll see it's coming horrible, and that's because we need to do something called an unwrap on it. So what we need to do is go into the edit mode just here. Now normally on something like this you would use something called a Smart UV project, but I found that that didn't work. So what we need to do is hit A to select everything, U, and then what we're going to do is we're going to do something called a Q projection, even though it's a cylinder, like that. And look at that, it's coming a bit big, but it's looking good. Let me show you how we fix that. What we need to do is come up to the UV editing just here. Now this orange thing in the middle is actually our mesh, and we can scale that up by hitting S on the keyboard and just scale it till it's touching the top and bottom. Then what we can do is we can scale it on the X, so we'll go S and X. Oh, make sure everything's selected. S and X, and just scale it out like so until the edges are touching. There we are. Right, let's go back to the layout view. Look at that, we've got our logo, but we don't have a background color for it yet, so let's fix that. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit on our shading like so. Zoom out a little bit. We're going to take this BSDF, and I'm going to hit Shift D, and we're going to duplicate it and bring it down like that. We now need to add a mix shader, so we're going to go Shift A, search, and we're going to add this mix shader just here. This bottom BSDF needs to go into the bottom input like that, and then the top one, we'll disconnect it from there, put it into the top like that, take the output from there and put it into the surface like so. If I now click on this base color here, I can change it and it doesn't affect our text like so. Right, we can actually animate the color, and let me show you how you do that. We're going to go to the layout view. We're going to make sure, click on this button here, that we're at frame 1. We're going to go back into the shading. Let's zoom in. What we're going to do is hit I on the keyboard and see how that yellow has come around the color. That means that a keyframe has been inserted. Let's go back to the layout. We'll go right to the end by hitting this key just here. Go to shading. Click on the color again, choose another color. So what we'll do, we'll say bright red there, like that. Hover above the color like that and hit I on your keyboard to insert a color. Now, when we go back to the layout view, what you'll see is as I scrub through, it'll change the color. It's gone from orange to red, so it's not that much. But let me show you how you can fix that. So we'll go back to the beginning like that, go to the shading. On the first color here, let's change that to a green. Bring it down in the darkness a little bit, somewhere like that. Again, hit I on the keyboard. Then when we go back to the layout and scrub through, you'll see the color change is a bit more obvious. Let's go halfway through, so 225. Easiest way to do that is click here and go 225. And let's go back to shading and choose another color. That's where we'll go to a blue, like that there. Remember to hit I on your keyboard, like so. And then when we go back to the layout, it'll go through all those colors right until the end. So the keen-eyed amongst you will notice that my colors and shape is slightly off. And the reason for that is I went downstairs to make a cup of tea and my computer crashed. So I had to rebuild everything. Gotta love that. Anyway, next question is how do we move this text? And it's actually quite easy. What we do is go up to the shading just up here, just zoom out a little bit, middle mouse, let's come across to our image. What we need to do, there's no controls here to move the text. So what we need to do is click on the image and hit Control T. And then what that does is it brings up this mapping and coordinates, and that allows us to move the text. And let me show you what I mean. I'm just going to zoom in. So if I go to the X just here, you'll see if I move that, it moves the text left and right. And like the color, we can add keyframes to it. So if I go to frame 0 or frame 1, I should say, and then go back to shading, if I hover over this one and hit I on the keyboard, it inserts a keyframe. I then can go back to the layout, go across to say frame 90, go here like so, go back into shading, and then just move that along. Let's move it the other way, say to -1.9, and then hit a keyframe, blah blah blah. Then when I go back and hit play, you'll see it's moving. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this across the timeline. When I get towards the end, I'm going to slow it down so that we can actually see the word subscribe. So I'm going to speed this part up. So So I've gone through the timeline, I've made it faster and slower in parts, I've had it go reverse as well, very easy to do, and then right towards the end it slows down. So the next question is how did I do multiple bands? Well, it's really easy. All we need to do is select this band here, go Shift D and then go G and Z. When I do that, it duplicates it and it moves it up and down on the Z like that. I'm just going to go down to say about there. Same thing again, Shift D, G and Z. And then just move it down like that. Next question is how did I create the three on the top? Well, what we're going to do is select the first one again, Shift D, and what we're going to do is hit R and Y, and then if I rotate it, it goes like that, and if I hit the N key, it brings up the numeric, and we can see here on the Y, it's just over 90, so we'll just change that to 90, like that. There we are. And we can hit the G, make sure it's selected, hit the G key, we can move it into position. I go to the edge like that, we can see it's slightly in front, so we'll go G, Y, and just push it back a bit like that. Let's go to the front. Same thing again, Shift D, G and X, Shift D, G and X, and just make three like so. And if at any time that you need to move all three, what you can do is you can select them and go G, X, just to move them where you need them to be like that. Right, so how did I rotate them all at the same time? Again, very simple. What we need to do is go to the front view like that. I'm going to Shift A, and I'm going to go down to empty just here, and I'm going to create a sphere, and I'm going to scale that right up. I'm going to put it in the center like so and zoom in. Now what I'm going to do is come to the right hand side, and you see here we've got all our cylinders here. I'm going to select all of those like that by holding the Shift key, select the first one, Shift key, hold the last one, and then hold the Control key and click on the empty like that. And then what you can do is hit Control P, and this parents it, and just make sure you've got Keep Object Transform like that. And now when I select that sphere, I can rotate it, and it rotates everything. Same thing again. What I'm going to do is just go through the timeline and create random rotations with it being level at the end. So we'll go to frame 400. So I'm going to speed up this part as well. So I've gone through and just added in some keyframes, having it doing some weird animation. Have fun with it. Remember to hit I once you've rotated it into a new position. And that's looking good to me. And remember right at the end there, make sure it slows down so people can see what we're looking at. Right, the next thing we need to do is set up our lights and camera. I'm going to hit the 7 key to go above it like that. Here's our camera. Let's just grab that actually and just move it. We'll move it across here using the G key. I'm going to go to the side view by hitting 3. I'm going to bring it down so it's about centered, then just rotate it up like that. To look through the camera, hit the 0 key, and you can see we're slightly off there, so I'm going to hit R to bring it across like that, and then G to bring it down. Let's have a look at that. Looking very cool. Right, let's add some lights to that. Probably this is a good idea actually, a good time to change it from Eevee to cycles, because I like the lighting within cycles. So we'll go right to the beginning. What we're going to do is go to the top view by hitting 7. I'm going to go Shift A, and we're going to go down to lights just here. And we're going to add an area light like that. I'm going to hit S to scale it, and you can see it's this square thing there. Just going to move it off to the side, about there. Go to the side view, and we can see our light is actually slightly low. So we're going to G again, bring it up, and then R to rotate it like so. And if we go to the top view, we can see it's not rotated onto the object. So R again, and there we are. So now let's go to our lights. First thing I'm going to do is change this exposure to 2. Let's change this light value to say 3000, like that. Let's see what that does. To render a frame, hit F12 on your keyboard. Yeah, that looks pretty good to me. What we can do now is, rather than setting up another light, we can literally Shift D on this light, bring it across like that, and rotate it. And to set up a nice 3-point lighting, we'll do that same thing again. Shift D, G, we'll bring it right behind like that, rotate it round, go to the side view, bring it down and just rotate it up like that. Let's take the value of that light down just a little bit. So we'll make that 2000. And let's render that. Hit F12 on your keyboard. Okay, so it's looking good so far. It's time to render out. What we need to do is go over to the right hand side, under the one that looks like the back of a camera. Make sure you've got GPU compute clicked here. Go down under max samples here. We don't need it that high. We can take that down to 750. Then what we'll do is we'll go to the one that looks like a printer, the output one just there. Go down, give it a location to save it into. I've got it ribbon text here, hit accept. You've got two options. You can output it as a video or as a still image sequence. I'm going to use video for this. Then I'm going to go down, and under encoder it defaults to H.264, that one there. I prefer H.265, you get more color depth on it. It also defaults to 8-bit. I'm going to make it 10-bit like that. Now what we need to do is go up to the render menu just here, and under the menu it's got render image, render animation. We need render animation, and I'll be straight back to you. So that took about half an hour to render. It's looking pretty good. I think I went a bit too crazy on the animation there, just to show what you can do with it. What I'll do, guys, is I'll leave this project on my website. You can download it for absolutely free of charge. You will need to subscribe and also put in your email address, but don't worry, I hate spam, so I won't be spamming you. If you've got any comments, questions, or would like me to do a particular tutorial, please leave me a message below. I do love reading them, and I will get back to you. Hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you in the next one.